Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar all about online payslips and P60s in Sage 50 Payroll. My name's Duncan, I'm your host and presenter, and I am on my own today, so I will also be answering your questions that you can submit to me via the Q&A. Let's now take a look at what we'll cover in the webinar. So this is all about using online services to host your payslips and P60s in the Sage HR online portal. And we're going to start with setting up online services, running through the steps you'll need to complete to get up and running, and then how to manage your employees and various settings. We'll then move on to uploading payslips and P60s. So we'll show you how that works as part of your pay run, and also the P60 option that you find as part of your payroll year-end tasks. And we'll show you how you can view these documents in the admin online portal that you would set up as an admin user. We'll then look in more detail at the HR online portal. So we'll give you some tips on navigation and customization, and we'll talk briefly about how you can manage starters and leavers in Sage HR, and also import changes to employee details from HR directly into your payroll. And then we'll finish up with a quick look at the employee portal and the mobile app, giving you a better understanding of what your employees will see when they receive their payslips and P60s in this way. Then at the end, we'll make sure we've answered the questions. We'll run through some of our upcoming webinars and where you can find further support. So let's get started by talking about setting up online services. So you'll find all of the setup options from the online services settings, which are located on your company tasks. You'll see there's a checklist of 7 items to work through. And the first 3 of those items will be where you initially create your main Sage HR admin user. So when you set this up for the first time, you'll be signing in with a Sage account, and the email address and password that you use to sign in becomes the main admin user of your HR portal. You need to register your company for online services. That's a one-time process by completing step 2. And then if required, if you have multiple users of payroll, you can set up additional users with their own email address to become uploaders of payslips and P60s. The next steps 4 and 5 are around managing your employees. So you would choose which employees need to be set up for online services, and you would select a box to enable it for them. So you can do that globally. And step 5 allows you to upload historical payslips. So this is one of 2 ways that you can create your employee profiles initially. So either uploading historical payslips or uploading current payslips on your next pay run. And then the final option in the online services settings are about showing or hiding holidays on your payslips if you manage holidays in payroll rather than HR, and a direct link to your company's online portal. And that link can be used and customized with your own company logo. So that could be a landing page that you can circulate amongst your staff for them to log in to their online services. So I do want to give you a quick demo of where to find these steps and what's involved in the setup process. So I'm just going to switch over to my desktop. I'm actually working in a payroll where I've already set up online services. But when I did this, I started at the company tasks here in the bottom left corner and went to online services settings. You can see that opens a separate window with the 7 steps to work through. Now, if you have already set up, please note that the only steps that will be ticked are steps 1 and 2. So these are the kind of mandatory steps that you do once. And then the rest of the steps, you can go back into them should you ever need to after you've completed the setup process. Now, when I completed step 1, I will have been asked to log in with a Sage account or create a new Sage account to log in to be the main HR profile. And you will also need an authentication method, which would either be receiving a text message to your mobile phone or by using an authenticator app, which generates an authenticator code. So it's just an extra level of security for the admin user. Once you've signed in with that Sage account, you would complete step 2, which registers that specific payroll for online services. And at that point, your online portal is created in Sage HR. Now, step 3 is optional, but if you do have additional users, you can click on the Do It Now option next to step 3. And what you'll see when it opens are any payroll usernames that you've got set up. So I've got one for myself, I've got another username for my colleague Alice. And then in the section underneath, you'll see the email addresses that are authorized to upload payslips. So by default, you'll have your main HR admin email address. And that's this one that I've used just here. And you can add additional users and invite them to be uploaders of payslips so that they can sign in from their PC in Payroll and upload payslips when they log in. So you can see I've added Alice as an additional uploader. So that sets up our online portal and creates our uploader users. Step 4 is where we set up our employees. So we choose which of them will be using online services. So if I just click Do It Now to show you this step, for each user, you will need to provide a unique email address. So if you've already got it saved in the employee record, that will already be displayed for you. And then you would tick the box next to the email address for the employees that you want to use online services. And if it's all of them, and you haven't set this up already, you'll see an option at the top to register all, which will then tick all of the boxes. If you don't already have email addresses entered and there's a standard structure to your emails, you can set an email address globally using the Set Email option. If I just click on this to give you an example, I could create an email address structure by using the forename and surname from my employee records. So if, for example, the email was firstname.surname @sage.com, which is pretty much what we use here, that can be entered as the email address structure and then applied to fill in the blanks for anyone that doesn't already have an email address there. But I don't need to do that. I've already got the email addresses that my employees will be using, and that's the email address that they will use to log in to view their payslips. Now, step number 5 is uploading historical payslips. So if you do this at the point when you're setting up online services, this is when your employees will first be invited to log in and use online services. And the way that this works is you would specify a date range. And maybe I want to upload all payslips for the current tax year to date, up to my last pay date. You would tick the box to choose which of your employees you want to upload historical payslips for. It'll then show you how many payslips there are within that date range. So I've got 4 monthly payslips for each of these employees, and then I can go ahead and publish these payslips to the portal. And if these are the first payslips that have been published, that is when the employees receive an invitation email so that they can sign up and create their own logins. Now, with historical payslips, there is an option to send notification emails to say that a payslip is available. But if you are uploading more than one per employee, it would create multiple notification emails. So at the initial setup, I would recommend not selecting this box, but the employees will still get their invitation to create their login. I'm not going to do this step because I've already completed it. So I'm just going to close out of this. And just to show you the final 2 steps, step number 6 is to display holiday entitlement on payslips. So you would switch this on if you record holidays in Payroll and you track your holidays that way. And if the option says show, that means currently holiday entitlement is hidden. So if I wanted to switch it on, I would click show. Or if you're seeing this option says hide and you want to hide the holiday information, you would click on to hide. So that switches it on or off, showing the kind of holiday taken and remaining if you've recorded that in Payroll. And then finally, this button at the bottom will take you straight to your company's landing page for the HR online portal. And that is the page that you can customize with your own logo. So I'll show you the setting for that a little bit later on. So that's your online services settings. That is what you would work through to get this all set up. So if we just jump back to the slides, I'll give you a quick recap on that. So these were the steps that we worked through. Steps 1 to 3, creating your HR portal. 4 and 5, setting up your employees, and then options to show holidays and find a link to your company's portal. And then at the point your employees have their first payslips uploaded, this is when they receive a welcome email. So it looks like something similar to what you're seeing on the screenshot there. And when they create their Sage ID, they'll just need to provide some details, and they'll then be able to log in to the portal. They can do that from a browser, or they can download the Sage HR mobile app and access their documents that way. And you'll see that a little bit later on in the webinar. A quick heads up on that invitation email. They do need to respond to that email within 48 hours. If the link expires, it's really simple to resend a welcome email to your employees. So I've linked to the steps to do that in your handout. So if you want to get that downloaded, you'll be able to read up more on that. So now that we have everything set up, next thing we're going to take a look at is uploading the payslips and P60s. When it comes to payslips, you would complete this step at the same time you would traditionally print your payslips. So it's a pre-update task. You would do it after you've entered all of the payments and run a pension assessment, and at the same time when you've checked your payment summary reports. Now, with payslips, you have 2 options of when these become available to your employees. You can either publish them immediately and upload them to the online portal there and then, or you can set a publish date so that they're uploaded to the portal as pending payslips, but they only become visible to your employees once that publish date comes by. So if, for example, you process your payroll maybe a week or 2 before the pay date, you would probably want to schedule your payslips to be published on or around the pay date, maybe a couple of days before. So we will take a look at that in the demo. P60s is part of the payroll year-end process, so not so relevant at this point in time. But just to let you know, if you do want to upload a copy of the P60s from previous tax years, you can go back in to the payroll year-end wizard and do that once you've set up online services. So we will show you how to do that as well. So let's just go back to our demo now. And we'll start by uploading some payslips. So if I go to my payroll tasks here on the left-hand side, I've already set my process date to my next pay date, and I've been through to enter my employees' payments for this period, and if applicable, I've run my pension assessment. So at this point, I would usually run pre-update reports, such as payment summary reports, and if I was doing printed payslips, I would print those at the same time. But when it comes to online payslips, there is a separate option to upload them. So when you are ready to do this, you would simply click Upload Online Payslips. That will then display the payslip information for the employees selected who are set up for online payslips. And as you can see, we've got the name, gross and net pay values, and pay frequency. And then we've got the options on the right-hand side to either publish immediately so that the employees can view them right now, or to publish on a selected date, which is what I'm going to choose, as I want these to become available a couple of working days before the pay date. So now that I've got my publish date, I'm going to go ahead and click Publish Payslips. As you can see, that just took a few seconds to publish the payslips to the portal. We get the confirmation message that they have been successfully set to publish on the date specified, and just advises no further action is needed. But if you do make any changes to the employee's pay, or if you need to roll back in the future, you will have the option of uploading these payslips again, which would then replace the payslip that was originally uploaded. Now, we can either close this message, or if we want to view the payslips in the admin portal, there is an option here to log into that portal. So if you click onto that, it'll take you to the sign-in page, and you'll be able to log in with the same details that we used to set up online services. Now, I am already logged in, so I want to quickly show you what you'll see as an admin user. So when you first log in, it takes you to your company directory, where you can see all the employee records within Sage HR. But if I just click here on the payslips area, here on the left-hand side, you'll see a list of payslips that are either pending or published. And most of these are published, so available for the employees to view. But these top ones for the pay date 31st of August are set as pending, which means that I can view them as an admin user from this area, but employees will not be able to view them until this published date. So if I want to see a preview of the payslip, I can simply click on it from here, and I'll see all the payslip items, payments, deductions, year-to-date values, etc. I can even access a PDF version of that payslip if I need to download it. But employees will see it once they've been published. So that is the payslips area. I just want to switch to the P60s. So if you came to any of our payroll year-end webinars, we showed how to upload them during those sessions. But at any point, you can go back to the year-end process if you want to upload P60s for a previous tax year. And just to show you how simple that is, I'm going to upload some P60s for the tax year 2025 to 26. And all I need to do that is to first change my process date to the 5th of April at the end of that tax year. So that would be the 5th of April 2026 for 2025 to 26. And then I can go to the payroll year end option. I can choose the tax year that I want to create the P60s for. So in this case, it's 2025-26. And then all I need to do is to click onto the Produce P60s step and select the Upload option. Now from this point, it works similar to the payslips, the main difference being that there's no option to schedule the P60s. So I've got my 5 employees all selected. But the only option here is to upload. So there's no date to enter in the future. I'm just going to upload them now. And that will then add the P60s to the online portal as well. So those P60s have been successfully published. Again, we've got the link to access online services. I'll just close out of that step. And we'll take a look in the portal. If I just refresh that page and click the P60s tab, you can actually see that I now have P60s for 2025-26. I can view them as an admin user from here, and employees will be able to view that same document from their own portal. And we'll have a look at the employee view a little bit later on in the webinar. So that is the basics of online payslips and P60s. So just to recap that information for you. So when it comes to uploading current payslips, it's done as a pre-update task. So simply click the Upload Online Payslips option from your payroll tasks, and then you can set your publish date in the future if you need to. If you do want to upload historical payslips, or if you've already updated records, you can use the Upload Historical Payslips link from the payroll links, or you can go into that step in Online Services Settings, step number 5. And then for the P60s, set your process date to the 5th of April, go to the payroll year-end tasks, choose the relevant tax year, and you can do that produce P60s step. So we'll just take a quick pause at that point to have a look at some questions that have come through. So a question from Susan is, do I need to set up a different password for online services, or could it be the same one as you use for Sage Payroll? So you would have a Sage account that you use on our website, which will be your email address and a password. So if you've got an existing Sage account, you could use that to set up online payslips. We would recommend using a generic style email address as your main HR admin user, rather than a personal email address or your own individual email address, as that way, if you change roles or move on from the company, it makes it a bit easier to pass that log on to someone else. But in terms of the password, you would create the password as part of your Sage account logon. Might be the same as what you log into when you actually go into the program, but it can be different. So yeah, it's the password used for your Sage kind of online account. There's a question from Kirsty about Sage HR. Is this an add-on? And if you don't have it, you can't upload payslips digitally direct from Sage. It's an add-on, but there's a free version included with your Sage 50 payroll subscription. So with Sage HR, there are some additional modules that you can subscribe to. So there's a core HR module, leave management, timesheets, lots of different modules actually with Sage HR that you can pay for, but you get a free version. So everything you're seeing in today's webinar comes included with your Sage 50 payroll subscription. So you can do your payslips and P60s without any additional cost. Question from Dan, is there going to be a change to the HR Hub in the future so that you can just change an employee's email address without terminating and deleting? It's certainly been much requested. It is on our backlog. I can't promise that that change is coming, but we have definitely taken that feedback on board. Currently, the process is still to terminate and delete them, which we'll cover a little bit later on, Dan, but hopefully they'll do something in the future. From Joe, is it better to set up with personal email addresses for employees? Completely up to you. It can be their personal email address or it can be their work email. So whatever works best for you, you can use either. And Karen's asking, could you use online payslips but still do your old manual way of emailing or printing them in the same payroll period? Absolutely, you can still go into pre-update reports and produce your payslips that way, even if the employees are set up for online services. What you will see when you go to produce printed payslips is a message saying, do you want to include the employees that are set up for online services? And then if you just click yes, it'll still include them in the printed version. And if you've got them still set up for email payslips, you'll still be able to produce them that way. So it doesn't switch off the old options by moving to online payslips. And one last one for now. Can you upload P45s directly? Unfortunately not. It's just the payslips and P60s that can be uploaded direct to the portal. So we'll try and pick up some other questions a little bit later on, but we are going to move on now and take a closer look at the Sage HR online portal. So you've had a glimpse of this when we looked at the payslips that we uploaded, but when it comes to managing and navigating your online portal, you'll find all of your navigation options towards the left-hand side, and everything that you can see on this screenshot is what you get in the free version of HR online services that comes with Payroll, but you may see other options if you subscribe to HR or you've got HR included in your package and you've got access to the additional modules. Now you'll see there's a dashboard providing some useful links, including the link to add your company logo in the settings. You've got your payslips area where you would view your scheduled and published payslips. The company directory is where all the employee records are held within Sage HR. And then you do have a couple of reports you can view, a report on terminated employees and access logs. And I'll try and point out a few key settings as well. So I'm just going to go back to the demo at this point, bring these slides down, and we will take a closer look here at the HR portal. Now, when you first sign in, you'll actually land on the company directory here on the left-hand side, and there'll be a tile which represents an employee record for any employee that's had a payslip uploaded, or for employees that you've added directly into Sage HR. And if you create an employee record in Sage HR, you will then be able to import that information into Payroll to create the employee record in Payroll as well. So if you do use some of the other HR modules, you might want to consider changing your process so that you set them up initially in HR and import the records to Payroll, rather than setting them up in Payroll first and then publishing their first payslip to send them to HR. And I've actually got a record that I've created directly in HR, which is flagged as missing payroll information, because I'm going to show you a little bit later on how these details can be imported. Now, just to show you an established employee record, so this is an employee that has already had payslips uploaded. You'll see there are some employee details which have been pushed through from Payroll in this case, and showing the email address that the employee uses to log in. Just to point out the access level, so for most employees, you would need this set to employee level. But if you have more senior staff that you want to give admin access to in HR, you can upgrade an employee profile to be an administrator. Obviously, use that with caution. It should only be for employees that should be able to see your HR records. You've got personal details. And again, these can be managed by your employees. They can update their details from here. Bank account information can be stored here. And then we've got the payslips and the P60s. So this is what we uploaded. This is what the employee view pretty much looks like. So a summary of the payslip. And then from here, they'll be able to view or download it. So if they view it, they're seeing the same information that you can see from their profile. So payments, deductions, year-to-date values, etc. And then the option to save that payslip as a PDF. And they can see very similar for the P60s. So this is the P60 kind of online version. And they can download the full PDF, the same version that they would have got if you printed it out. So those are the employee records held within your company directory. We've already seen the company payslips and P60s. So this is only for admin users. We've got our dashboard. So a few handy links. This one takes you to the setting where you can upload a company logo. So it can replace the Sage logo in your portal. It can also be displayed on your company landing page. And then we've got just a handful of reports with the free version. So you can report on terminated employees. So employees that you've marked as a leaver in HR. You can export employee details. You can also view some access logs. So this tells you who's logged in recently within the last 30 days, or perhaps has never logged in. So this is how you would navigate the main options, but as an admin user, you also have access to settings. So just to show you where that is, you would click on your admin username and it'll just show an email address if it's the first user that's set up online services. You can then go to settings from here. On the general settings is where you can upload logos, both for the header, that's the logo that sits up here, and for your login page and notification emails. Then other areas you might want to explore when you're first setting this up are the permissions. So you can amend permissions globally. So if there are certain areas that you don't want to use in HR, maybe the bank accounts or personal details, they can be switched off by unticking these boxes. You can hide some of the fields as well. And then there are some admin permissions as well. So if you do have additional admins, you can decide whether they have access to the main settings, access to payslips and tax documents, and being able to review bank account changes. Just to show you some of the employee permissions, there is an option towards the bottom here that allows them to access their payslips after termination. So you can set a time limit, which allows them to continue logging into HR, even if their profile is terminated, so that they can access and download their payslips and P60s. So I've got that selected, and I've set that to 30 days. Other area I just want to point out is the security option. So under security, you can enable two-factor authentication for your employees if you want to. So admin users will already have two-factor authentication. It can also be enabled for your employees as well if you want to set up that extra layer of security. So well worth exploring some of these options. We've got some detailed guidance actually on this in our help center as well. But for now, I'm just going to return us back to the company directory, and we'll have a quick recap and see if we can answer a few more questions. So we've seen there navigating the options of Sage HR online services. So main areas are your payslips, where you can view all scheduled and published payslips, company directory, where you can view the employee records, and then the settings, where you can do some customization and you can check things like the permissions. So just to pick up a few more questions, this is from Joe. Just thinking, if an employee had left the business, they wouldn't have access to their business email address. So this might be in relation to whether it was best to use the personal or business email. I mean, once you've marked them as a leaver in HR, it terminates the profile. So it stops them being able to access that profile anyway, but you can give them that 30 days or up to 1 year of access to their payslips and P60s. So they could still use their business email address to log in, but they wouldn't be able to reset the password if you've kind of switched that off after they've left. So it's up to you. That's certainly something to consider when working out which email addresses to use. Question from Karen: how do you access the HR portal? A couple of ways you can do this. If you're a payroll user, you can go into online services settings and you can click on step 7 to log into your online portal, or from any browser. If you make a note of this URL, I'll pop it in the chat as well. Go to sage.hr/sign-in. You'll be able to sign in as an employee user or an admin user from there as well. So step 7 in your online services settings, or sage.hr/sign-in. James is just wondering why there's no message to exclude online employees when you're choosing the email payslips option. So it's a good point. It was only built into the printed payslips. So that functionality came in when we first introduced email payslips, which will be many years ago now. And I think we just copied the same functionality for online. So if you try and print, it asks you if you want to exclude email or online. If you try an email, you don't get a similar warning. So you would have to just specifically select the employees that you wanted to email if you wanted to exclude those that are getting online payslips. Good point. And from Dan here, would it be possible to have multiple email addresses for employees? No, they can only log in with one email address. So they can't use more than one to access that same profile. So some great questions. Keep those coming. I'll try and answer some more towards the end of the webinar. But I'd just like to take a few minutes just to show you a couple of other options that you have with the HR online portal, and also hopefully some time to have a quick look at the employee portal as well. So a couple of things to mention. With new starters, you have 2 ways of managing them. You could set them up as a new employee in Payroll and then upload a payslip for them in order to create their Sage HR profile. But of course, you can only upload a payslip when you're preparing to pay them for the first time. So if you're starting to use HR more widely, maybe you've subscribed to some of the other modules, you might prefer to set the employee up in HR and then import them into payroll in order to create their record. So you've seen I've already set up an employee and I've added some payroll information when I did that. So I'll just show you the import process in the next demo. With leavers in HR, there's a process known as terminating them. So there's a big terminate button within their profile. You would then add their leaving date. And once they are terminated, that will restrict their access to their HR profile, with the exceptions of payslips and P60s, if you've allowed them to view them after their termination date. Now, in terms of bringing leaver information into payroll, you can either record the leaving details in the usual way in payroll by simply running the leaver wizard and recording the leaving date that way. Or if you have terminated them in HR, you can also do an import and import the leaving date to the record. But caveat on that one is you must do that after you've updated their final payment in payroll. And the links there in the handout will explain a bit more about how those processes work. Third thing you can do that I alluded to earlier is that if an employee amends their profile, perhaps they update their address or something like that, you are then able to import those changes from HR into payroll. And we've added a task to the payroll process. You might have seen this and wondered what it was for, to import employee data. So if you've set up online payslips and P60s, you're integrated with HR, you now have the option of importing starters and leavers, as well as changes to employee details. So that's a few things I'm going to show you in this last demo. We'll also get a look at the employee portal as well. So just returning back to my demo. So as an admin user, you can see I have this new employee that I created in HR. So I've got all of their kind of details recorded here. I'm looking to import that into payroll. So that's ready to be done. But if I just switch to a different browser, I'm actually logged in as an employee as well. So this is one of my employees, employee number 1, and you'll see that they have a basic version of the online portal where they can access their own profile, just their own profile. So they can see their details here. They can see their personal details. These fields are editable. So let's say that this employee has moved. I'm just going to change a couple of address lines here to illustrate this. If they save this change, obviously that's going to save straight away in Sage HR, but it's also going to give you a way of importing that change into payroll. And I think we saw earlier, payslips and P60s can be viewed by the employee. So they can see everything up to July, because of course the August payslip that I uploaded is scheduled. So because I've changed some details in HR, if I go into that same employee record as an admin user, check the personal details, you can see the address has changed here. But within payroll, if I just return back to my payroll, just set my current pay date again. For that same employee, we still have them down as their old address. And of course, we don't have a record for employee 6 because they've only been set up in HR. But it does mean now that when I run my payroll, after I've set the process date, I've got the task to import employee data. So when I click on that now, just prompts you to take a backup if you don't have a recent one. I would strongly recommend that you take one now. And then it's going to check with the HR service, and it's going to let you know if there is anything to import. So I should have a new starter and an employee update to import. So once it's completed this check, you can see I've got one starter and one employee update. So starting with the starter, you can see it's got the employee details that were entered on the HR portal. We can view these details and check them before we import them. It's also possible to make changes to these details if we need to. And then to create the employee record, I can select them and click import. And you'll see that that will create a new employee record and it'll add it to the end of my list. I'll show you that once I've done the employee update. So the other information from HR is that we have that change of address. So I can actually see that the address lines have changed. See, unfortunately, the email can't be edited, but again, that can be imported. And that record is updated now. And if I close out of this, that's my new employee record for employee number 6. So they've now been set up in Payroll. We can enable the online services for them so we can upload their pay slips. And then for employee number 1, you can see it's got that new address. So that's all now matching up with what we have in HR. So just giving you a flavour there of what you can do and some potential new workflows once you are set up and integrated with HR. So again, I have added links on the handout there, which explains a bit more about what you've just seen there, and a couple of screenshots of the process to import the employee updates. I think we had a question about it earlier. If you do need to change an employee email address, there is a specific process you need to follow. So the steps are on the slide there, as well as a link to the article that explains how to do that. And we've also just seen a quick glimpse of the employee portal. So a very basic version of your admin portal. And they can basically see what you can see in their employee record as an admin user. Just to mention as well, employees do have access to the mobile app. So you can see a little animation of what happens when a payslip is published. So they do get push notifications for the app, which then allows them to log in and view that document. So they can scroll through the information on their payslip on screen, but they also have the option of downloading the full PDF payslip. So if you ever need to get your hands on your payslip and you've got your phone in your pocket, as most people will have, that's a really convenient way of accessing both the payslips and the P60s. And again, we've got links to more information on there as well. So look, I am conscious of time, so I will stick around just to answer the questions if you can stay with us for that. Just to mention some of the further support that's coming up, here's a list of our webinars in August. So tomorrow we've got variance reporting. We're also covering starters and leavers, HMRC submissions, report favourites and selections, and payroll assistant this month. All of our sessions are free to attend, so just get yourself signed up at sage.co.uk/webinars. You can find further help with all things payroll from our help centre, either from a browser or from in product. Simply click on any of the help icons that you see. And quick plug for our Sage AI Academy. So this is free practical AI training for everyone. It's not product specific, it's just about generative AI in general. Highly recommend that course. You can get more details from the handout. So like I say, I'm going to stay online and work through some of these additional questions. If you have any more questions that you'd like to ask us and you can stick around, pop them in the Q&A now. If you are leaving us now, you will get a follow-up email with a link to the recording of this session. So look out for that in your inbox. And don't forget to download the handout if you want to take that away with you. So just going back to a few more popped in. So let's have a look at some of these. So this question is from Dan. Why doesn't making an employee a leaver in Sage Payroll automatically reflect on the Sage HR Hub? I can't give you a reason why it doesn't. It doesn't. There is the link the other way around. If you terminate the employee in HR, you can then import the leaving date at the end of your pay run. Obviously, it would be a useful feature. So something that perhaps could be added to our suggestions board which can be accessed from the Sage community. So I don't know why, but it can't be done. Joe is asking, can you turn off the function of an employee being able to update their address or bank details? Yes, you can. So I think we touched on this briefly when we looked at permissions. I've just brought the admin portal up. So on the admin portal, if you go to your settings and go to permissions and then global, you can switch off both bank accounts and personal details. So if I do that now, if I disable that and click save, and then just switch over to an employee account, and I'm just going to refresh that. Can you see it's restricted their profile now just to sort of display the key employee information, but nowhere for them to kind of manage or change their address. And you can see as well, it's also removed the bank details tab. So yes, that can be switched off. It's found within the global permissions. So this is back in my admin profile. If I want to switch them back on, I can tick those boxes and save them, and that will bring those features back. But yeah, great question, and it can be done, yes. So look, I hope I've managed to answer most of those questions. As I say, it's just me today, so I've been trying to work through those as I've seen them. We are slightly over time now, so I will start to wrap up. So just to let you know, you will be invited to take a survey when you exit the webinar today. So please do consider spending a moment to let us know what you thought of today's session, and perhaps any suggestions for future webinars. We'll also send you a recording of this session as part of your follow-up email, so look out for that arriving in the next hour or so. And we also add all of our recordings to our webinar hub. That's at sage.co.uk/webinars. So with that said, I'll thank you once again for your time today, and look forward to perhaps seeing you on some of our other webinars in the future. But that's it from me. It's goodbye for now.